What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sixers Postgame Live. Happy Saturday to everybody who is watching us live. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's go talk about our top takeaways, our player of the game. The Sixers got absolutely embarrassed here in the fourth quarter, getting outscored 26-7, which ruined an otherwise amazing third quarter by Isaiah Joe. We're breaking it down. What's going on, Freddie?
What's going on? That intro music really hypes you up. I gotta tell you, I listened to it a couple times just watching your show, but then being about to go on, I'm like, dude, I'm fucking jacked.
I love it, man. Guys, we are streaming live on Edge of Philly Sports on Facebook. Be sure to check those guys out. We just announced a huge partnership with those guys. So Freddie is from Edge of Philly Sports, man. I think this is our first time doing a live show together. I am psyched, but just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, man.
I mean, I'm just an average guy, man. I'm from Delco. I love sports like everyone else. And, I'm a dad with 3 kids trying to do this while I work a full-time job and like anyone else. So it's pretty fun. Edge of Philly Sports, you can catch us, all over the place, painted lines. I'm excited for the partnership, and it's going to be awesome. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm jacked. I don't even have words. I'm kind of sputtering over my words here.
Let's jump right into this game. Typically, we start with top takeaways. How do you not lead off with Isaiah Joe here? Finished with 24 points, 4 assists, 7 of 9 from 3-point range. I'm going to share my screen here so everyone can see the box score. Give me 1 second. But Isaiah Joe was absolutely sensational, especially in that third quarter. He just was showing immense range from 3. He showed a beautiful step back pull-up jumper from mid-range. And there was one point in the third quarter where he went on literally Isaiah Joe 8-0 run. It was just, even when he hit threes, it stopped another 8-0 run by the Toronto Raptors. 15 points in the quarter for Isaiah Joe, who's shooting before today 44+% from 3 through 2 summer league games. Isaiah Joe showing that he deserves rotation minutes, man. What was your reaction, takeaway of Isaiah Joe today?
I know we get excited about Paul Reed and Charles Bassey and everything, but if there's a player out of the summer league that we need more than anything to become a rotational player, it's the shooting of Isaiah Joe. And you've seen it in the previous games. He's had some clutch shots. He had the game winner the other night. And then even in that Grizzlies game when we lost, he hit a shot to put him within 2 late. I'm very excited about him. He went off in the third quarter, but some things that we're seeing, and especially today in the first quarter, is a little bit of defense. I'm seeing some defense. He had a nice block down low. He's holding his own. And then passing. He seems to be seeing the floor better. I know it's summer league. It's a total different deal in the NBA, but those are little things that if he can complete with the shooting, we might have an NBA player, and that's what we want,
Absolutely. Isaiah Joe, he has the shooting, he has the length, he has the athleticism, he has the size. What he doesn't have is freaking Doc Rivers giving him the leash that he needs. Isaiah Joe is what Isaiah Joe is. He's a streaky shooter. He needs that opportunity to know that he doesn't have freaking Doc Rivers breathing down his throat and he can just let it fly. He has to know that he can go in, take three three-pointers, miss them all, and not be pulled for the next 10 games. That's what Isaiah Joe needs. We have an awesome comment here from Rob saying that Isaiah Joe is now 15 of 28 from 3 in 3 summer league games. 53%. Are you watching, Doc? You better be watching this because we need Isaiah Joe. And I agree. I think he's got real upside defensively as well. Let's take a look at his shot chart real quick. Isaiah Joe, let it rain on the left side from 3. He only had 1 shot in the post. I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that.
No hesitation. No hesitation. I've seen times in with the big club, a little bit of hesitation. Like you said, maybe something's breathing down his neck, that type of thing. Just these games, he's just letting it go. And this is the college player that we drafted. And if you see some of these threes here, it's not right on the line. It's back a little bit, which you're used to in the NBA, to give you that extra space to be able to knock that down if the defender's right there on the line. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I really liked Isaiah Joe's game today. Who doesn't like Isaiah Joe's game today? Well, it was actually 15 of 27, even better. That's awesome. That is awesome. So
Thank you, Rob.
I know Rob coming in hot with the stats. I love it. Especially summer league. Can't beat that. I'll throw it to you, man. Is there anybody else or any other takeaway you want to bring up from this game?
Well, this guy, it's funny because I tweeted you about him, I don't know, a week ago or something. I didn't even realize he was on the roster. And he's not going to make the big club, but Cassius Winston, man. He was 2019, Big Ten Player of the Year, All-American, all that jazz. He is really a good point guard, and I wish he was a little bit taller because maybe then he could make it. But today, I watched him, and just in a situation where the Raptors were up big early on, he was just calm. It was just like a nice point guard that settles it down, calms the whole offense down, had some good passes, and then even offensively had a couple floaters in the lane. I don't think he really has much of an outside shot based on, what I saw today. He's not going to make the team, but I think he deserves at least some, conversation to say, hey, this guy's a good player for the summer league, and he's a pretty good player.
And he had some really nice passes. I mean, I think this was the best we've seen from Cassius Winston this summer. And I thought his passing, especially, hitting Isaiah Joe in several different situations, right in that shooter's pocket, right where Isaiah Joe wants it. And that led to just easy catch and shoot threes from Isaiah Joe, at least a few. And I thought Cassius Winston was awesome. I mean, you look at it, 7 assists today in 26 minutes. He's been kind of slow and steady, the rock for this team as a point guard this summer league. And nothing but high praise from Cassius Winston. I didn't really have any expectations for Cassius Winston coming in here, but he's been impressive. He's been impressive. I think we all graded him like a C during our last post-game show when we did our overreactions and grades. But I think Cassius Winston, let me tell you that. Let me put it this way. The lack of ball handling on the Sixers team, the lack of ball handling on the Sixers in general last year, is he like that good? Or is it just because they literally have nobody when you look up and down this roster that can dribble the basketball?
I'll tell you, like, I could tell he's shorter than everyone watching the game. And then I'm like, let's look it up. And then I looked it up. I'm like, he's 6'1". I'm like, So I think we have terrible ball handlers. And that's the way. And we're so used to watching Ben Simmons, who, I'm not as down on Ben Simmons, and I know he's wimped out, but he's not a traditional point guard in the sense that he's been a point guard his whole life. He was a power forward, transition to point guard at the pro level. So he doesn't really have the handle that a point guard that dribbled his whole life. So we haven't seen that in so long, nor do we have any shot players or players off the wing that create off the dribble. So I think it is more what you're saying. We just, wow, there's someone on the team that actually can dribble.
Yeah. Rob says Winston seems solid. Problem is he's 24 years old. If he was a little younger, maybe he could be a solid developmental player. Absolutely. That's where the Sixers are, man. Like my man Freddie said, he's not going to get those minutes off the back end of this rotation. Absolutely. Mr. Rudy Poo says Charles Bassey needs to get better. We'll talk about Bassey next. Let's go into Charles Bassey. Bassey had 9 points. He had 6 boards, 1 block, 1 turnover, 6 personal fouls. Who cares about personal fouls? It's the summer league. But, he did have some nice buckets, I think, in that third quarter. His teammates were doing a really good job finding him. That's kind of been like the MO for Charles Bassey this summer. Like he struggles, but then second quarter, third quarter, and he seems to get better as time goes in these games. But it's hard not to for me personally, I don't blame Charles Bassey as much. The lack, when you have Jaden Springer, running the ball through Jaden Springer and Paul Reed, and then you have like Charlie Brown Jr. running the ball, and Cassius Winston. I like Cassius Winston, but let's be clear, like he's not going to be getting Charles Bassey the ball rolling to the basket very easily. Trevelin Queen he's got upside as a playmaker, I think. But he's not a floor general. So I kind of be a little bit easy on Charles Bassey in this situation. It's tough. I don't think his defense has translated as much as I wanted it to. But what was your take on Charles Bassey today?
See, I think it's good that you said that because you have to have context as to what his role would be as an NBA player, and that would be a roller to the basket, get the dunk type guy. So that's what you don't have players on this roster that can obviously do that. But I will say I am underwhelmed with him, and I'll disagree with you on the 6 fouls. Like, if you're going to get 6 fouls in a G League game, or not G League, a Summer League game, what are you going to do in the NBA?
Right.
You're probably going to get fouls that quickly as well. And there were multiple times throughout this summer that he's been backed down. Like, I've watched him just get, bitch down low, basically. And if he's going to be on this team and get minutes, he's going to have to get stronger. I don't know what it is. I don't think this year's the year. And I was big on Bassey. So I agree with you. He needs someone to get those dunks in. But on the floor as an NBA player, I don't know that you can play him.
Yeah, Christian Coloco, this comment here by Rudy Poo says the rookie center for the Raptors ate Bassey up. Christian Coloco played 27 minutes, finished with 12.7 boards, and was a +9. And Charles Bassey was a +1. But I agree. Bassey needs to be better for sure, especially defensively. Like, that's what he needs to be. He should be a rim protector. And I don't think his, post defense has been as advertised in this summer. Like, I don't know what's going on.
And he's not boxing out. Like, when you don't see the guy boxing out, that tells me, like, what do you think? You got the job? Like, you need to be boxing out. You're in summer league.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. We have a comment. What was the final score from Reginald? The final score was 97 to 77. But, Trevelin Queen hit a 3 at the start of the fourth quarter to make it a 2-point game. And then the Raptors went on an absurd run and outscored the Sixers 26-7 to finish the game. It was crazy. Just crazy.
It was a game of tremendous runs because in the first half, the Raptors were up about 14. The Sixers switched to a 2-2-1 press, and they went on like a 15-0 run. And then the Raptors battled back. And then Isaiah Joe in the third quarter went on his own 11-0 run or 8-0 run. So it was a game of runs, and it essentially looked like in the fourth quarter the Sixers were just like, we're done.
The Sixers, there was like one time, like many segments in this game where it was just like the Sixers on offense, turnover. They had 25 turnovers in this game.
I wrote down 13 in the first half thinking like, that's going to improve. You just said 25. They basically doubled it. It was just turnover.
Yeah. Hooping Boy says, I loved Isaiah Joe. Absolutely. When we get into player of the game, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about Isaiah Joe. We just got done kind of pumping him up. Bassey doesn't have active hands on the pocket pass. Paul Reed would have had like 4 steals this game. That's the thing. Like, when you talk about defense, like Paul Reed has looked just worlds better defensively than Charles Bassey. So many turnovers, 100%. So we got our first. Well, I think people want to talk about Jaden Springer. Let's go to Jaden.
Yeah, I was waiting for this.
Yeah, 9 points for Jaden Springer here. 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 4 turnovers. Unlike the last game, his usage percentage was way down in this one, where in the previous game it was a lot of pick and roll with Paul Reed and Jaden Springer. We didn't get that much today. He played 26 minutes. I'll throw it to you, man. What was your take on Jaden Springer's day?
He's Zaire, guys.
No!
That's who he is. And I'm sorry, and I'm trying. I'm trying, but I just can't. He hit his first 3 of Summer League today.
Yeah.
And he was hesitant when he shot it. And, you watch a guy, I'm not going to the Maxey train, but he couldn't shoot either. And you watch the evolution of him or even Isaiah Joe and his improvement shooting. Obviously he's young and he's very raw. So, I'm not saying he's done, but he doesn't have handle. He can't shoot. There's no really wiggle. The only thing he does really is he plays through contact and gets to the rim and gets fouled. But is that going to happen at the NBA level? I want him to be good. I like the pick. I thought it was a good pick because he fell, and it's definitely was worth the stab. But I'm kind of, as I'm watching, I'm just like, this is Zaire, man. And offensively, a little worse, actually.
I think the problem with Jaden Springer that I keep coming with is every time I watch him, and I thought he had a great game 2 days ago. I thought he was awesome. That was the most locked in from Jaden Springer I've seen, especially defensively. He only shot like 3 of 11.
You're right. His defense is awesome. I threw that out.
His on-ball defense is terrific. But I agree. Like myself, the Sixers organization, I don't think anybody has any freaking clue what Jaden Springer is going to be in the next 4 or 5 years. Is he more of a playmaker? Is he more of that Jimmy Butler type that that can dribble into the paint and be a mid-range guy? Because he does show a nice little, pull up from that area. That is the bulk of his offense right now. Or is he more of like a Marcus Smart, just a pure stopper defensively? But I think the problem with Jaden Springer is I do think there is upside. I do think it's there. He's only 19. He's younger than the majority of the NBA picks that were taken just a few weeks ago. And the problem is he doesn't fit the Sixers timeline where we're currently at, and that's the problem. Is I'm gonna have those lens every time I'm watching this guy play. Is that there's no way he's getting NBA minutes next year. There's no way.
He would have been a great second round process pick.
Did you see who had 34 freaking points last night? Cam Thomas. It just kills me. Just kills me every time. He said,
but again, it is summer league.
It is. It's
like
Korkmaz
dropped 41 the one time. You know what I mean? It's like
exactly. That's well said. Well, that's a great point there. Rudy Boo says great value, Marcus Smart. Rob Smith says problem with Springer's his rookie contract will be over by the time he's NBA ready. And by the time we know what Jaden Springer is, it's not going to be with the Sixers. It's just not. And Springer's not a point guard. I agree right now.
He meant there's times he brought the ball up is what he was getting at.
That's not going to be his role at the NBA level. His handle is not good enough at that point. He's going to be a more off-ball, get in there for 5 minutes and play defense. But Doc's not going to play Jaden Springer. There's no way Jaden Springer's getting.
No, of all the people, Doc praised him the most for some reason about how his elite defense. So God knows with that.
Meanwhile, Charles Bassey lights up Nikola Jovic's ass in that one game, and then you have Paul Reed light up Giannis in that one game, and then those guys you never see them again for months.
You stay on that point, dude. You do.
I will never let it go. I'll never let it go. There's no long-term plan.
You bring it up every time, and you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it's hilarious because you're not letting it go.
I will never. Rudy Poo says neither is Trevelin Queen. So many dumb turnovers. Let's go into Trevelin Queen.
Yeah.
It has not been the best transition for Trevelin Queen, man. This guy was the MVP of the G League last year. Comes in as a 6'6", shooter, spot up shooter, catch and shoot shooter. Flashes a little bit of playmaking. He's had some nice passes to Bassey, some nice lobs, but it's been kind of a summer league for Trevelin Queen so far. 9 points today, 3 of 10 from the field. He did have 6 turnovers in this game. Who cares? It's summer league. But I still think he's going to get, I would put Queen over Jaden Springer in an NBA game easily. Zero questions about that. But what's your take on what you've seen from Trevelin Queen?
Passive. It seems as though for a guy that's known as a scorer, he's very passive. It seems as if, I don't know, did the Sixers say, look, dude, we know you can score. We need to see you do the other stuff. And maybe he's more focused on that because he is a lot of passes and he has had some nice passes with the turnovers. So maybe he's trying to show another side of his game. But yeah, that's the first thing first game. I was like, he's a little passive. And he's not knocking down the open shot to being a shooter. He's not, but that's how shooters are. There maybe he has a game, next game he hits them all, but I'd say passive.
Yeah, the Sixers brought in some shooters, and they're not shooting the ball at all. Like, you look at Trevelin Queen, it's just not translating. You look at Julian Champagny. That guy came in as a catch-and-shoot, spot-up shooter. Lights-out shooter. He's been horrific this summer league.
He made an appearance today. He actually made a shot, and his brother was – did you see that? His brother on the Raptors was booing him, which I loved. Because I feel like me and my brother, if we were in the NBA on opposite teams, we would boo the shit out of each other if we're going against each other.
Yeah. I like this comment by Rudy Poo. about Ellison. I mean, Malik Ellison is absolutely like the exact opposite end of like Julian Champagny. Like Ellison has definitely showed up when he's gotten minutes so far. I fully agree.
He brings that effort. It's like that's the effort I want to kind of see out of Bassey. Like you should be playing like your job's dependent on it. You know?
Yeah. Rob says draft Jaden Springer to trade 100%. 100%. That's exactly what the plan was there. Mr. Swagoo says perhaps they wanted Queen to work on playmaking this summer league. I mean, he did a little bit of playmaking in the G League last year for sure. Again, in summer league, it's only a few games. We're overreacting. That's what we do here with the summer league. I want to talk to you about your take because I haven't heard it yet. No, wait. First, we got to go to Filip Petrusev. We got our first Sixers debut of Petrusev.
Yeah.
He had 2 points. He had 2 points.
Walk your ass back to the bench, Philip.
4 boards and a steal and a block. What was your take on Petrusev?
You know, he came in the fourth there when it was kind of unraveling. He might have got a little late third minute. It was. I mean, let's give him a start. Maybe let's see what he does in that capacity. But I just was like, yeah, this guy is just he's a G leaguer and a career G leaguer is what he looked like.
Yeah, he is such an interesting case because when you look at him at Gonzaga and not last year, you know, he definitely shows some upside as like a stretch big. But last year he barely shot at all overseas, and he kind of was on the out with that team. So I was interested to see where his development was, especially like rolling to the basket and such. We really didn't see it at all. He only played 10 minutes. No, he only played nearly 8 minutes in this one. Not much sample size to really judge anyone on. But there you go. I was actually calling his name. I wanted to see what we got there. But
yeah, one attempt. Yeah, one attempt.
Yeah, we don't really know. He contested a couple shots. He had a nice block there, I think, on a backdoor cut from someone. But outside of that, basically nothing. But Swagoo says Petrusev can stay away from home. He's not Dario. Oh man, he's definitely not Dario. There's no question that he's not Dario. That is not even close. Let's go to someone that I've been kind of pumping, like a guy that I think could possibly be the next two-way guy for the Sixers, and that is Michael Foster Jr. He was only 1 of 4 from the field, but I think he's a really good rebounder. I think he's active on the glass. I think he definitely has upside as a defender. He definitely contests shots really well, whether that's in the post or on drives. Like Michael Foster Jr. is only 19. He's got years to go in his development, but that's definitely a guy that I would like to see with the Delaware Bluecoats. Any thoughts on Foster Jr.?
He looked a little slow to me, but other than that, yeah, good rebounder. He kind of reminds me of a little thicker. The names escape me. I'm picturing him right now. We got him from the Celtics back in the Amir. What the heck's his name?
Amir Johnson?
Amir Johnson. In a sense that, you know, he's not really going to give you much scoring. He's just there to rebound, you know, run up and down the floor. He's a little bigger, though, as far as, like, huskier. But that crossed my mind as I was watching him.
Yeah, he's interesting. I definitely have hopes that he makes this roster. Not roster, but definitely get some time down in Delaware. Anybody else you want to talk about before we get into player of the game?
I want to let go of someone that I was kind of hoping to be a guy, and that's Charlie Brown Jr.
Really?
You know, he's just not going to make shots, and he'll be a D player, but he's not going to be a 3-and-D. He looked good those first 3 games, and I'm like, oh, we're making some things. But then as I'm watching, I'm like, this ain't going to happen at the NBA level for this guy. It's his 4th year coming into it, so I have to relinquish my Charlie Brown Jr. love.
Yeah, he's got a fan base for sure. People love Charlie Brown Jr. But I fully agree. Like, if that shot does not translate, he's not going to make this team. It's that easy. And he was 0 of 3 today for the Sixers, 2 of 6 from the field. He's switchable. He's got really good defense. He's active, man. That dude is just the first one on the ground, hustling every single play. But it's all about the shot when it comes to Charlie Brown Jr. Who's your player of the game?
It's Isaiah Joe. I mean, we talked about the game. I mean, it's not really, and when we do these things, you kind of try to pick different people, but I don't really think he's the only one, dude. Like, he was on fire, and he played defense and had some nice plays in the field. How many assists did he have? I'm curious.
Isaiah Joe had 4 assists.
4. It felt like more, but Isaiah Joe is my MVP, no doubt, and I'm excited to see if we can translate this to the NBA.
Mr. Rudy Poo says Charlie Brown was horrific.
I know. I had to let go, Rudy Poo. I was holding on hope, and I just had to at least I'm owning up to it,
Yeah. I like the confidence. It's the player of the game is by far Isaiah Joe. I like the confidence is what I like to see from Isaiah Joe. Because, like, there are times when I'm not saying he was scared during moments, but, like, there was definitely moments last year when Isaiah Joe did have an opportunity and open shots to kind of get his name out there and get more playing time, and it didn't happen for whatever reason. The shots did not fall. So I love to see that third quarter confidence from Isaiah Joe that we saw. Like, everyone, like, you knew that, like, the basket was the size of a building. Like, he knew that shot was put in. And like Isaiah Joe is like the one guy, like, he's like Furkan when he's bad, that, like, he doesn't really give you much, but when that shot, when he's on, that shot looks so pretty, man. That shot is absolutely gorgeous. Rob says Joe and Reed are NBA level rotation players right now. Sadly, I don't see anyone else more than a G League or end of the bench guy right now. I
think I agree with you, Rob.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. So Isaiah Joe gets both of our player of the games. We always kind of wrap up with like a grade. Like, how would you? This is obviously we didn't get the W. It's summer league. No one cares about wins and losses. I guess more entertainment wise, like, this is definitely not as fun as previous games. I mean, it was fun. That third quarter was fun to see Isaiah Joe kind of say what's up to Doc Rivers in terms of getting rotation minutes. But there are really no other flashes in this one. I give this probably like a C. That's probably being generous, to be honest, because there were so many turnovers. It was god-awful at times. What about you?
So we're giving the game a grade.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'd say C minus. I don't know. The turnovers probably make it a C minus. It was a roller coaster, though, because you were up, down, and the fourth quarter just happened to be the run where we went down for good, So I'll say C minus because the turnovers are inexcusable. You can't have that many turnovers. It was almost like watching our own team, those games where they just turn the ball over too much. Yeah, C minus.
Do you know what the Sixers shot from three without Isaiah Joe?
Hold on, let me guess. A percentage? Do you know the percentage?
No. What? No. I can find it in a second.
No. I'm going to say 10%.
I'm doing the percentage right now. The Sixers without Isaiah Joe from three were 17% from three today. They were 3 of 17.
Ugh.
3 of 17. Why are we all hating on Furkan? Because they need to improve. Because
he let us down. We all put our eggs in his basket, tried to be on his side, and then this year, and I think Doc tried to continue to give him minutes this year, and he just shit the bed, man.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing to see like D'Anthony Melton get real playing time on this team. He's such an upgrade over any of that. So less Furkan is better.
Sixth man of the year.
I'm not there yet. That's tough. That's tough. But I do think Melton's probably one of the best bench rotation players we have seen in Philly in a long time. Like, I think he's just 6'9" wingspan, great shooter from three, great in the catch and shoot, like 50+% in the corners. Like, he's a great fit, and he's 24, and we got him for 2 years. Like, that was a just underrated trade. Rudy Poo says PJ Tucker will help grow these kids. Reed Joe, and if Matisse is here, these guys are too nice and polite to be heavy contributors. Trevelin Queen do anything from Brendan? Absolutely, very little. Very, very little from Trevelin Queen today. Still waiting for that G League MVP Trevelin Queen to show up in the Summer League. Like Freddie said, too passive. There's not much real offense in the Summer League, so he's clearly not getting that usage rate as he did in the Sixers Summer League versus when he was in the G League. But it is what it is. So it was a very poor performance. Let's wrap it up, man. Final thoughts, plugs. Time's yours, man.
We're on to Vegas now, right? Vegas is next.
We're in Vegas right now.
Oh yeah. Today was in Vegas. There was a packed house. That was. You're right. It was in Vegas. I was having that conversation with my in-law. My final thoughts are what the other guy said. There's really only two players here. Paul Reed, which I think he really can't even play in this league because how can he improve? It's almost like a joke. He's doing so. Paul Reed and then Isaiah Joe are the players you're looking at to make the pro roster. So we'll see what happens at the rest of Vegas, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe is awesome. Shut him down. We don't need him getting hurt, just like Paul Reed. Those guys are terrific. Those guys are, I think, deserve minutes next year 100%. Outside of that, give the ball to Jaden Springer. He should be getting the ball every single time down the court, just to know what we have with him. I don't get it, but anyway.
Not to go hold it up too much, but I just question dawned on me. Would you think it'd be better for Paul Reed to be working with a guy like the dude Embiid worked with all summer?
Absolutely.
Playing this?
Absolutely.
Just get out of here and just do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my takeaway 2 nights ago. Was that's enough. Just sit him down, send him back to Philly, or train with Sam Cassell. I don't know. Just get him away because he was so dominant defensively as well. He's just everywhere on the court. Rob says his final Smiths are the Phillies bullpens on fire. Uh-oh. What did I miss?
They won.
That could be a good thing or a bad thing. Probably a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Let's go.
25-10 since June 1st.
Meanwhile, they don't even catch up on the Braves at all.
We're in the playoffs now. The Cardinals are the wild card we need to beat.
Love it. Anything you want to plug, man?
Nah, we'll be dealing with each other all the time. My Twitter's at Freddie Burns. You catch us at Edge of Philly Sports. We'll be doing this all year long.
Love it.
Exciting stuff. We're all good.
Love it. I have my edge rusher rankings dropping at 7:00, so in under an hour. My 2023 NFL Draft edge rushers are dropping. I did a top 5. But there were 4 other guys that I really liked. I should have just made it a top 10, but it's 5 and 4 honorable mentions.
That Notre Dame dude, I forget his name already. I was watching. He looked good, man.
Isaiah Foskey's nice. It's a really good class. I had 9 guys that are all round 1. And two of those guys will probably be in the top 15 easy. Pretty much depends on your take on oh my God, who was the number 1 pick from Georgia?
What, for the Eagles or overall?
No. In the draft last year, I'm drawing a blank. But he was anyway. It's a really good class. So I did my top 5 quarterbacks for the 2023 class, and now I did my edge rushers. Then I'm going to go to a couple other positions of need for the Eagles, and that will be safety and cornerback. Then I'm done. Then it's time to get ready for the Eagles. But just to do a little prep before college football season. All right, let's wrap this up right there at Freddie Burns _. Go check out Edge of Philly Sports on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you find
Twitter, everywhere. Google it. Content. EOPsports.com. Google it.
Yep. Expect a ton of every highlight reel, probably only Isaiah Joe. I don't even know if I could make a highlight reel out of Jaden Springer today.
You seriously can just do Isaiah Joe third quarter. Well, no. First quarter, some defense there. You get that in there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Thanks,
all right,
Rob.
guys. So expect Summer League highlight reels dropping right after this, as well as an NFL draft video. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, everyone, for commenting today. We'll be back tomorrow around same time, 5:36, to do more Sixers post-game shows and overreact to these things because that's what we do. For Freddie, for